I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, and this is Coffee and Wisdom, when we take a humanist perspective on theological questions. For the month of February, we were discussing ideas about the animal kingdom. We know now that, the earliest fossil that's been found anyway is 3.5 billion years ago. In Western Australia, a living thing had developed by that time. Usually we see estimates somewhere between 4 and 3 billion years ago for life beginning on the planet. It's a complicated story, without doubt. And as I have talked about before with timelines, the fact is that humanity hasn't been on the planet all that long, but some animals have been on it for quite some time. National Geographic says this: more than 99% of all organisms that have ever lived on Earth are extinct. As new species evolve to fit ever-changing ecological niches, older species fade away, but the rate of extinction is far from constant. At least a handful of times in the last 500 million years, 75 to more than 90% of all species on Earth have disappeared in a geological blink of an eye in catastrophes we call mass extinctions. Yes, the National Geographic is available to you online with the usual great pictures and scientifically oriented articles. We see fossils of trilobites. These were the most common animals at one time on our planet and then completely disappeared. I think the most interesting extinction to most of us is the one that killed the dinosaurs. Um, this too is from National Geographic. Dinosaur killing asteroid most likely struck in spring. Fossil fish in North Dakota add to evidence that the impact 66 million years ago might have been a worst case scenario. The article goes on to say the impact that ended the age of dinosaurs some 66 million years ago was the worst single day that life on Earth has ever endured. A 6-mile wide asteroid slammed into the waters just off Mexico, triggering a mass extinction. The interesting thing is, what time of day did it happen? Well, they were being able to see this by the fish that were fossilized. Mass extinction events are not common, but we have had 6 of them. We appear to be in the 6th one now. We know the Triassic-Jurassic extinction probably pretty well, Cretaceous to Paleogene extinction, and then the Holocene extinction that we currently live in, also known as the Anthropocene, because human beings appear to be the creators of our own climate at this point, which is not a good thing. The Holocene is the name given to the last one that started 10,000 years ago as the Ice Age left us. Now, one other thing about the global climate change is what are the warm years and why? The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says that 2016, the hottest year on the planet ever, 2020 following that, 2019, 2015, 2017, 2018, 2014, 2010, 2013, and 2005. So there's a lot of twos in front of those warmest years on the planet ever. We do not know the number of species that are in existence on the Earth. Many probably have not been found. But according to estimates, between 200 and 2,000 species became extinct each year. We just don't know because we haven't found them yet, and many we will never find. I started the month talking about Darwin's Origin of Species, which is central to our understanding of animals and us. Darwin wrote, "Intelligence is based on how efficient a species became at doing the things they need to survive." And the point Darwin makes there is that dogs did what they needed to survive, cats did what they needed to survive, Trilobites did what they needed to survive. And that is what we call intelligence, although, as I've discussed this month, intelligence is not exactly an easy thing to define. Darwin also wrote, "Animals whom we have made our slaves, we do not like to consider our equal." Darwin was one of the first to see that animals and human beings are the same thing, and that consciousness is on a spectrum and is not different in any kind of animal, from human animal to any other sort. So that leads to ethical questions. For example, should animals be used for food? We do know that factory farming is responsible for a great deal of the greenhouse gas emissions that is making our climate hotter and hotter. Also, should animals be used for entertainment? Another question, or should they be used at all, is yet another question. Peter Singer, born in 1946, is an Australian moral philosopher. He is the central figure in the contemporary animal rights movement. His book from 1975, Animal Liberation, is the classic of the animal movement. In that book, he says why the ethical principle on which human equality rests requires us to extend equal consideration to animals too, because he says all animals are equal. Yes, even the human animals. There's no differentiation between human animals and other animals, and between what we consider to be our work animals and our domestic animals, and the cats and dogs that we don't tend to eat, at least in the Western European style countries. Peter Singer says this: the belief that the animals exist because God created them and that he created them so we can better meet our needs is contrary to our scientific understanding of evolution and, of course, to the fossil record, which shows the existence of non-human primates and other animals millions of years before there were any human beings at all. So whose planet is it? As I was talking the other day about with timelines, it's hard to say that the human is the most important animal in the record. Peter Singer also says the notion that human life is sacred just because it is human life is medieval. I did discuss that in terms of the Roman Catholic discussions of whether or not animals have souls, do pets go to heaven, and those kinds of questions. They are not scientifically based questions. Because we pretty well know from Darwin and the theory of evolution that we're all animals here. Pets can boost your brain power, study says. It just came out in CNN Online by Sandy Lamott. In this, she interviews someone who says this: having a pet or multiple pets combines many core components of a brain-healthy lifestyle, said Dr. Richard Isaacson, director of the Alzheimer's Prevention Clinic in the Center for Brain Health at Florida Atlantic University's Schmidt College of Medicine. Cognitive engagement, socialization, physical activity, and having a sense of purpose can separately, or even more so in combination, address key modifiable risk factors for cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease dementia. And so, and it's not only good for keeping Alzheimer's at bay, but also many, many health benefits from having animals living with human beings. If you would like to explore more on this subject, there is something coming up from the American Humanist Association, Why Animal Rights is a Humanist Issue. Dr. Corey Lee Wren is a vegan feminist sociologist of social movements and non-human relations in the US, the UK, and Ireland. That's coming up on Wednesday, April the 20th online. And the American Humanist Association does have a Zoom account. Speaking of humanism, so watch social media and you will be seeing this mentioned. So why animal rights is a humanist issue? Well, you see why from our look at the timeline, which is long, and also from the question of evolution. I think it's what we've been talking about is best summed up by Erasmus Darwin. This is the grandfather of our Darwin, Charles Darwin, who wrote in his poem, "Go, proud reasoner, and call the worm thy sister." He lived from 1731 to 1802. I think he was way ahead of his time on thinking about our relationship with other living things. Next week, I'll be talking about utopia, which ain't what it used to be, changing ideas of utopia, dystopia, and what the future might be. That's next week on Coffee and Wisdom. Thanks for listening. And we do have a live Zoom meeting at 9 a.m. on Friday mornings at Central Time. I'd be glad to send you the Zoom link. Just email me, minister@firstunitarian.org. Thanks for listening.